So today I've had a little mess around with some microphones. I've also had a mess around with different rooms to see how they react with your voice. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm Alex Biggs from Soundbase Studios. Let's get into it. Okay, so what I wanted to find out is how much a room really makes a difference. Now this is the camera microphone, so all the microphones I'm using, I will name them as I speak to them, but otherwise it's a camera microphone, which you can hear isn't great, and I'm on a camera microphone now. So let's have a little look at what the bathroom sounds like when I talk. Okay, so demonstration, I thought I could just do my voice, but I thought, well, why not try a couple of instruments. Okay, so now we're in a front room, living room, drawing room, who knows what it's called, but we're in it, inside the house. So let's hear how the bongos sound. You can hear my voice sounds. Okay, and then you've got the tambourine. So as you can see, the bathroom's pretty tragic. You often hear stories of singers going in the bathroom to give a reverb sound. It just doesn't work because you can't control it. You want to do those effects later on in the mix rather than where you've got no control, because if it's too much you can't stop it. All right, there is places where they have echo chambers for certain things and that does work, but in my view I always like the consistency of a studio, and then I can add my effects as I want and take them off. So that was the bathroom. The front room, I've drew the curtains so that it gives a bit more dampening, but as you can see it's really hard to control the sounds. If you've got a home studio in a room, you want to make sure you can put some sort of treatment up, so that would really help with reflections, how the instrument sounds. So now this is in the studio and you can hear it's much more controlled, it's a lot deadener, it's a lot less reverberant, it's a lot less echoey, so you can really hear that there's control over the instruments and my voice. So again, it's a good comparison, but let's have a look. So the microphones I used are going to be just your standard mics that you may have. Now I've used the bass drum mic because I know it shelves off some of the high frequency, and it's not really used in the correct manner. So a lot of the microphones, although they sound different, bear in mind this isn't a test where I've chosen 3 different mics on the snare for the snare. I've just gone through the differences you can hear in the microphones, and then that might enable you to think, well, that's quite trebly, I want that on this. Or the bass drum mic, yep, actually that needs to be on the bass drum because it's taking too many highs off. But to be honest with you, it's just a bit of fun for you to have a little listen at what the microphones are. I've done it quite quickly because otherwise you're thinking, how was that? So it's just a quick whiz through, and I hope that's how you wanted it. But anyway, let's have a little look. So the microphones I'm using, let's start off with the classic SM57. So this is really for loud sound sources, a dynamic mic, a great mic. I think this is one of the best mics that you can buy, and it's so cheap, a great mic. The next one, which is pretty cheap as well, is the D112 or D112. It's a great mic for your bass drum. You can put it on bass cabs, but it's very specific to drummers, I guess, and bassists. So there's not a lot else you can do with it. If you've used it on something, please put in the comments, because I'd love to know what else it can be used for. Again, that's a really cheap mic. And then on a similar vein, we've got the Beta 58, very similar to an SM58, but I believe the difference is it's got a lot more side around the edges of the mic, so it picks up lots of things. I use this when I'm doing my Zoom lessons because it just picks up fine for me, and it's pretty good. Again, a sort of a workhorse around the studio. If I want to just do anything with it, really, I can stick it in front of things, put it on the snare, put it in vocals or whatever. It's just a quick grab mic, which is pretty useful. So the MD421, another great mic. It's normally used on toms. Now apparently you can use it for voice, not for vocals but for voice. It's got a special filter which stops proximity effect, so if you get too close it helps with that, so you can literally do interviews or whatever you want with that. So that's a great mic for voice, as well as the classic mic for your toms on drums. The Aston again is pretty good. It's a cheap condenser, just it's okay, you know, it's not earth shattering, but it's a pretty good mic, and again it's versatile, hence why I thought I'd make a video, because you can use it everywhere you want. Having a condenser that's got a frequency range of 20 Hertz to 20,000 means there's nothing you can't capture in theory, but it's, again, as I said, it's a bit clinical. It represents exactly what you hear, and again that's the good thing on one side, so that's pretty good for that mic. Other mic I've used is my Rode NT4. Now the Rode NT4 I think is one of my favourite mics. That's a great mic because it's a stereo mic in XY, I think it is. So that means you don't get any phase issues, so it's great for rooms. So if you want to stick it up somewhere like I have up high to record your room, it's great. It sounds awesome on acoustic guitars and pretty much anything really. It's just a really good mic, and it's a stereo mic, so it really is quite a nice mic. One of my favourite mics, the Rode NT4, and again it's not that expensive. And then the other mics I've got is the Warm Audio 67. Now this is again trying to get one of those Neumann mics. Apparently it's got the same tube and a few of the same parts, or if all the same parts. I think it sounds quite good on female vocals. I'll be interested to hear. It sounds all right, you know, it's a great mic, but I was expecting a little bit more because it's got the parts of these amazingly expensive mics, but I've not finished experimenting with it. So now what I'm going to do is go through lots of different mics because I want to really hear what they sound like and just hear the difference really. We have 4 mics to start with, and the 4 mics we're doing are MD421, AKG D1112, Shure SM57, Aston, Origin. Right, let's try some bongos. Okay, so there are your bongos. We've got tambourine. Okay, now we've got the low frequency, which is a 15-inch recording custom low tom. Okay, right, so now let's swap some mics over and get some others in. Beta 58, Warm Audio 67, NT4. And then let's try the bass notes from the low tom. My conclusion is that the room makes the most difference. So that is the key factor here, and that reiterates what everyone says. Get your room treated, do your panels. It really does make a massive difference, and from that bathroom to the studio it's night and day. So it doesn't matter what mic you have in that bathroom, it will not record anything that you can use unless you want that as an effect. The front room, again, you can tell why maybe you're having troubles in your studio mixing things or recording things to sound good. I'll tell you a quick story. I went round a friend's house who's a bass player, and I just stuck this bass cab that I bought from a studio. It's a really nice cab. Wasn't too expensive. Was a good cab, sort of a standard studio sort of workhorse cab. Took it round. I had a 15-inch speaker. Played it in his front room, and I didn't like it. I was like, this sounds a bit naff. So I wasn't happy with it, and I was really annoyed because I'd just bought, you know, this amp. So I brought it back and I put it in my studio, and then the next time I had a bass player, I put him through the amp. It sounded just awesome. And I just thought, I can't believe what a difference a totally bare, untreated room does to a bass cab. So it is really, really important to get your room sorted. And I know it's difficult, but you know, people say use mattresses. Mattresses are rubbish. They've got a tiny layer of foam and then they're just a gap with springs. So don't use mattresses. They're just a stupid idea. Everyone says blankets. Blankets are okay. They'll just take out the top treble and they won't make your room sound good. What you really want is either acoustic panels or something like that. I mean, you can if you've got a garden with decking furniture. What I've done to sometimes dampen up the studio even more is take those thick cushions, because they're just big slabs of sponge, stick them down under chairs or whatever, just to put it somewhere that out of sight, but also it will just help. Just use your imagination. But mattresses and blankets don't work that well. They're not going to make it sound good. They will dampen the sound, but not in a good way. All right, I'll do a video on acoustics at some point. Again, I'm not an expert. This is just from my experimenting and from me messing around, hearing videos on YouTube and going, oh, that's brilliant. What I'll do is fill up my room with mattresses. I mean, it just doesn't work, does it? So I'll do a video on how I've done it, because I'm really pleased with how the room works and how it sounds. And everyone who comes in here, they'll play the guitar out and they say, where'd you get that amp from? I must get one of those. It sounds amazing. But it's not the amp, it's the surroundings. Well, anyway, I hope this has really helped, and sorry to keep going on and rabbiting on about it, but it's important to get these things right. I just think it's good to hear how they sound, and again, bear in mind that these mics are supposed to be used in their correct setting, and this was just how they sound, the difference, to show you that mics do sound a bit different, but the room makes more of a difference. See you in the next video. Take care. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Cheers. Bye.